Hello, and welcome to another episode of Connecticut at Your Service. My name is Carmen Nieves, and I am your host, and we come to you live each Tuesday right here on Soundview Community Media TV at 6:30. And just like every episode, we feature businesses who are leading with a purpose. And the goal is to educate, entertain, and empower individuals. And I am so excited by the pair that I have today. They're the co-owners of RPM Automotive. And Madeline is a friend. And before I even let her introduce herself, I love the fact that when we met, you were making sofrito. That's what you were manufacturing sofrito. And I was like, wait a second. So I was so excited to know that you're a co-owner, because anything that's non-traditional that women are leading, you know that I'm all about that. And plus that, I love Bridgeport. So anything that has to do with Bridgeport, like the young man Raphael, who's the co-owner, just excites me. So Madeline, I'm gonna start with you. Tell me a little bit about you, and then I wanna pass it over to Raphael, because you just have such a dynamic, come up business story that I just can't wait to get into it. So tell me a little bit about you, and how did you move from sofrito to automotive? I just gotta know about that.
Well, we've known each other for a long time. And you know that I've had my struggles in life, and sometimes your tribe lets you come up and lets you evolve. And that's what I did. Things work the way it works, and God has plans for you that you don't even see. My family and I evolved into different areas. The sofrito thing didn't work out, and that's okay. I learned from it.
But you learned a lot.
I learned a lot from it.
Licensing your business, things like that.
I learned all of the things that it takes to start a business. I learned what it took to get licensing and trademarks, and how to maneuver in the state of Connecticut, and all of the heartaches that it takes, and all of the things that you have to do in order to be able to move forward. Mm-hmm. And some of it is not easy. Well, most of it isn't easy.
It felt like this happened faster.
This did. And I think it did because of all of the missteps that I did in the first round.
What you learned.
Exactly. And those were lessons that I was able to use. And I was able to take those and kind of move forward. And then I had made connections, and I was able to use those connections and be able to kind of piggyback on them and go, okay, here I am. When Raph and I had the conversation and he asked me, I didn't even ask for the opportunity. He asked me for the opportunity.
It seems like you guys are like a good match, because truth be known, he's actually a friend of your son.
He's
not even your first connection, right?
No.
So how does your son feel about that? And we got to get to Raph, because that's where the story's at.
Yes.
But I thought that was such a great story. That
it's
and it felt like you knew immediately, because I felt like this energy in you when we were talking on the phone. So tell me about that.
Well, I have to say, some of your missteps are your best steps. And I think that's something that people have to understand. I'm 55, proud of every single year that I have. And I have to say, this has been the best, worst year ever. We have made some serious strides, and this is a business that I'm absolutely proud of. And I'm proud of my business partner and all of the things that we've accomplished in a very short year. It's amazing.
And I feel that. Raph, you tell me, we had such a great conversation off air. You've got to share just a little bit of, because you are Bridgeport, and you live in Bridgeport, and your roots are in Bridgeport, but you're from Puerto Rico, right? We're from Puerto Rico.
San Juan, the capital.
From San Juan, Puerto Rico. There's a Latino family out there. So you are 25, and I have to say that I'm just so impressed with everything that we talked about. The people you worked on, cars, that, the places that you worked, that you've gotten scholarships that paid for your education. I really want you to share some of that, because there's people in our audience that are thinking, I just have this hobby, and you were telling me how your driveway was like full of cars, and now here you are. So tell me a little bit about you.
So I'm 25, born in Puerto Rico, the capital. Both my parents are Dominican though, so.
Okay, it's okay.
You do what you want with that information. I pretty much figured out that I like cars and kind of had a purpose to always either take stuff apart or put them back together at an early age. Big main influence was my dad. My dad was the same way. When I got to high school, I went to Bullard Havens Technical Trade School, and that's when I took Automotive. And from there, I always liked cars, and even my teacher always said, I was a good egg. So that's why, like, off air when you said it, I kind of laughed because it reminded me of her. But I did the 4 years at Bullard. I graduated top of my class. I graduated with my student ASC certifications. From there, I was very lucky for her husband, who was the lead tech at the Dario Cadillac, to mentor me. So it was never lube tech for me. Like most people that go into the trade, they do like 1-2 years of being a lube tech. Where for me, I was more, he would diagnose engines, and then from there, I would rebuild them. Same thing with like transmissions or rear ends. And because of that, obviously, I feel like I always say I'm lucky. People say that it's not, I create my own luck because I'm very passionate about what I do.
Takes a little bit of both, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But from there, obviously, they saw something in me, so they sponsored me for school. I went to Gateway Community College in New Haven. I was in their GM ASEP program. They're the only community college around here that I know that has an automotive program that lets you graduate with an associate's degree. So I went through the 2 years of that. After that, I graduated, and I was at Cadillac for about another year, but because of the connections I made while working at Cadillac and in school, Maserati started knocking on my door. And
he says this so nonchalantly. Yeah, they just knocking.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I first started, obviously,
listen, I was impressed.
Obviously, I worked.
You're not the only one.
I worked. Obviously, I took the job. I went to go work at Maserati. I can be honest. For the first 3 months, I was like, the wow effect. Like, wow, like I'm working on Maserati, Alfa Romeo, a couple Porsches, GTRs. After a while, it's just more like a car is a car. You kind of get over the effect. Every now and then, working on the car, when I was there, you kind of get the effect back, like, wow, I'm working on these expensive brands. But one thing I'll never forget, my service manager at the time told me, he's like, you know why you're good at these cars? When I was working at Maserati, he said, because you treat them like Honda Civics. You take them apart like if they were Honda Civics. And it's just...
What does that mean? Like you take a lot of care, or what?
In the mechanic world, like, I don't care, not that I don't care more, I don't see the car as a dollar amount. Like I treat every car the same regardless if it's a Honda Civic or if it's a high-end Maserati Alfa Romeo. So I
think that's a great philosophy,
yeah.
And that's actually a philosophy that you have
The
in your
care.
business.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, and I think to clarify, the care that's given to every car is the same, and it's translated in every single car that comes in. It's translated to every person that comes through the door. They're treated with care, and they feel that.
And customers come back because of that,
They
right?
come-
They probably look for you. Oh, you're not in your house. That's where I'm going.
Well,
Yeah.
just to add on to that, what has happened over the course of the year is we don't just get people's cars in. We have managed to have people who are in our industry bring their cars. So we have mechanics that work for dealerships who don't bring their cars to their dealerships. They bring their cars to us.
Mm-hmm. And that's in trust, because I have my cars. I went through when I had to do the dealership until like that little piece was like that little warranty's over. Mm-hmm. And then you have to go with what you feel comfortable with. But I want to know, because you were working for like Maserati, like you had to be like making money and working. I heard you worked on some celebrity cars and you know, when they first got their cars and they were taking them to you, how did you guys come together to be like, this is the partnership, and how does that work? And how long has it been? Because you live in Bridgeport, the shop is in Bethany, and you were actually renting a bay, and then you ended up just, now it's your thing.
Yeah.
So that's just so impressive.
Well,
Really, it's really impressive.
Raf had was just working on family cars for a while, and he had decided that he was going to take a leap of faith. And he was like, well, I want to figure out what it takes to do this as a business. And so he was trying to go through all of the process. And it's not easy. And I don't know if anyone else out there understands, but to become a dealership, a used car dealership or a repair shop in the state of Connecticut, it is very difficult. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
And so he asked me if I could help him get some paperwork together, and that's how it started. And it started with me getting him some paperwork, and he
just
saw
having the conversation.
and
You
having
saw
that
that.
started the conversation. And once we started the conversation, I got him the paperwork, and I think it was 2 weeks later,
Yeah.
he came back and he posed the question. He was like, do you want to go into business together? Because I
that's awesome.
hate this.
Yeah, I hate doing paperwork. I really do.
And you want to do what you love, which
Yeah.
is why you got into the work anyway. I think what really kind of impressed me, and this is like business advice that people are given in general. It's a blanket statement that when people are going to start their business, they tell them, don't leave your day job. And you actually were doing that for like a while, right?
Well,
and trying to
yeah,
find that balance, and then
more background on what Maddie was talking about and what I'm elaborating. I did leave my day job. I left Maserati, but even before that, when I was renting out the bay, it was getting to the point where I would work at Maserati from 7 in the morning to 4:30, leave Westport, drive from Westport to Bethany, start working around 6, and my night or morning at 2 in the morning, go home. And I did that for about 6 months. And I'm young, but eventually it catches up with me. And I did end up falling asleep behind the wheel. I got into a car accident, and I just remember sitting on the hospital bed and my mom in one ear and the doctor in the other ear. And my mom was like, you have to pick one. You can't continue to do both. And my thing is, I'd rather work for myself than for anyone else per se, because at the end of the day, I get to show myself what I'm capable of and the others around me. And
you make the rules.
Yeah.
You know, and you work all the time, because every time I see a picture, we talk all different times of the day.
Yeah,
You're always in the background.
They have to
doing
tell me to
something.
go home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I won't leave the shop. I'm a workaholic.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
I mean, but I think that what's impressive is that you're putting in that work now, because I was asking you, are you married? You have kids? None of that. No. So I think that you're putting in the work that, you know, I was married, pregnant, a dropout at 17. And I wish that I had more. Be like, let me think about that. But I think we're put in places where we're supposed to be. Yeah. And I want to switch gears a little bit, because you guys are not just automotive, right? There's an education component that really is what impressed me. I mean, I'm so impressed in general, honestly. But I think that what you guys are taking that to the next level. But what I want to really talk about first, before we get to that, is some lessons learned. What are some lessons learned that you're like, I work for somebody else, I work for myself, other than just the freedom of it, or just, is it a different kind of lesson when you're working for somebody else's money and when you're working for your own money?
There's a lot of lessons.
Yeah, there is a lot.
There's a lot of lessons.
That's a very general, like, it's so much to it.
Anything that were like big ahas for you?
There's a couple. One of them is you learn, one of the biggest lessons is you have to learn your priorities. And one of the biggest priorities is that it's a very lonely road. You have to make some difficult choices, and they're not popular. And you're going to disappoint people. You're going to disappoint yourself sometimes when you make those choices, because they're not easy. As a business owner, you're required to make choices based on what a business requires versus what your personal preference is. And if a business requires you to make that decision, it's not a popularity contest. It's not.
And if you fail, it's on you, because
Exactly.
this is you.
That's what I was going to go into.
And then the other thing is you're held to a certain standard because you're answering to the state of Connecticut, number one. Then you're answering to your customers. And so you're required to have a certain set of standards, and you're promising them that you are putting them back on the road and that they're going to be safe. And so that's key. And then
So it sounds like she handled the paperwork. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
And then where is that balance
So
with kind of
My
where you knew that your strengths were?
Well, my strength was under the hood of a car, always has been. But one of the biggest things was for me, and like customers tell me all the time, is how transparent I am. Where I won't try to say, I always say, make the money, don't let the money make you. Where I don't do this for the money. Advice. I do it because I'm passion driven. So I'm not gonna upsell stuff that a customer doesn't need. I'm gonna be very honest, I'm gonna be transparent. I'll send videos, I'll send pictures. If something breaks along the line, same thing, I'll call them, stop what I'm doing. And a lot of stuff breaks on cars, so it happens more than not. But I also want to touch base back to what you said, lesson learned. The biggest thing for my age and my generation in general is accountability. So that's the biggest thing I've learned this past year, where when you stand behind a company or corporate, something breaks on a car, customer isn't happy. Coming from me, I was a tech, I didn't have to deal with it. I wasn't the face of it. Now it's like any issue, any problem, I have to take accountability. I can't point the finger. I can't point the finger. I can't sit here and you know, try to walk away from the situation. Like I have to be the face. I have to give everything face value and you know, deal with it at the end of the day.
I just think that you guys, it's very easy to see where each of your strengths are, so I can see the synergy between you guys. I want to just switch gears and I want to end in, because the holidays are coming. We're going to be changing season. So I want you to give us some tips, but first, tell me a little bit about the education initiative that you guys, how you help your customers, how, you know, what's important to you, and some of the classes that you've already taught to individuals, and where are some of the classes that you'd like to do? Because, you know, we talked a little bit about that already. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I just had that with one of our customers as she was leaving today. Every customer gets that education, especially our female customers. I'm a woman, so at the end of the day, every customer that comes in that's a female is reminded of certain things. One of them is the lights on your dashboard. I'm sorry, but
so that's the advice.
Absolutely. Every single light that's on your dashboard has a meaning. There's a reason for it. Manufacturers put those on there as a reminder, as your warning. They're yellow for a reason, they're red for a reason. It's in order for you to have the opportunity to get something checked. And then it's to get something fixed.
With that.
I'm sure
I
right
see a
now.
light and I'm like, Vic. I call my husband right away. Vic. He's like, what do you want me to do?
Turns radio up.
It's the infamous turn the radio up so that you can't hear the noise.
Like, don't you hear that? He's like, what are you talking? I don't know.
Yes, and believe me, and I've done it myself. Or you see the gas gauge go down and you know that it's $4 and change, almost $5 for gas, and you're going, it's all right, I can make it.
I'm like, look, it says 30 miles, and then it only really looks like 6.
You know, I absolutely get that. Unfortunately, what happens is there are certain things that happens when your gas gauge goes down to next to nothing. You're wearing on your fuel pump, which means that you're going to wear that down to a point where you're going to see him a lot sooner
or you're
than
forced to see him.
Yeah.
Exactly, a lot sooner, which means that you're going to spend more money. You're also looking at excessive wear on parts. You're also looking at, you see the tire thing with the exclamation point.
The TPMS light.
That's a TPMS sensor.
I'm like, what's that exclamation? Honey,
Why?
Get the book.
And then your husband goes like
That's
this,
my
yeah.
solution. He's like,
Yeah, you have to go put air in your tire, and we're all going, maybe not. Maybe that's not what it is. But maybe it is. I don't know.
So don't ignore your lights.
Don't ignore
Look
your
at
lights.
the wear and tear. What are your top 2?
My top 2, you should be checking all your fluids at least every 2 weeks in your car. From a mechanic standpoint, even new engines consume oil, consume coolant. Cars are only getting more and more complicated, so you should be checking all your fluids once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
If you have an older car, once a week. It'll save you a lot of money.
Okay. What else? We want 2.
My other thing would be you always want to check your tires for dry rot. We run into a lot of customers that have.
What's that?
Dry rot is when the rubber gets old because tires have a lifespan.
It's not where you put the penny in there and then if the no, not that.
That's tread depth.
Oh, okay.
That will tell you. That will
See, I
tell
was
you
trying to
that-
sound smart when I said that because my husband told me that.
But that is one of them.
So like dry rot is rubber has a lifespan. After a while, the rubber gets dry and you'll see the cracks along the side of the tire. Just because you might have 30 seconds of tread left, which is excellent. If you have dry rot, you can experience a blowout. So those are things you want to look for. And
So I love that. I love that. And I want to get into your education piece, but we're on the piece about tips. So now that people are switching over seasons, I would love to get like some tips that people should start. And then, people come to you because they trust you, but we were talking about, what if they don't know you, they don't live in the area? What might be some advice if they're looking for a good mechanic? And I'm going to start with you.
You always want a mechanic, one that either offers some kind of warranty for his work, or
Informal or formal, what do you recommend?
paperwork is your best friend. With any mechanic, any shop, you want paperwork. You want everything set in stone, even like the conversations you have, paperwork, because everything is there. The document will make or
But
break.
what if it's Juan from next door and you're like,
Well, for that, I always say, like, if you're gonna use your neighbor or friend of a friend or even a friend, keep the job simple. Like if it's an oil change, a brake job. But even on some newer cars, some of the you can't on newer cars they have electronic parking brakes. Your neighbor can't do the brake job unless he has a $10,000 computer.
So check your tires, check the treads, check the dash, right? What about, and you were talking about don't let the fuel get too low. I thought I heard you say that.
Yes.
Check your fluids.
Yeah.
What else when you're switching over? Like, should you switch your tires or something? My son-in-law does that.
You
for me
should
all
be
the time.
you should be rotating your tires every oil change unless you have staggered tires. Staggered tires are on like rear-wheel drive cars. The rear tires are wider than the fronts, and you can't do a rotation. But like for your regular SUV or sedan, most of them are all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. They have the same tires all the way around. So for that, you should be doing a tire rotation every oil change so you can get the max life out of your tires.
So tell me, when we were talking on the phone, you said that you actually did workshops and you've been able to help your customers who may be, and this was primarily like during COVID or whatever, right?
No, not during COVID, but over the course of the last year, we've had some shows and some open events where he's done some things on his car, where he's done, I think it was an oil pan change.
Yeah, so like we made it so like I got a new car, a 2023 GR86.
I just got a new car. I've been to
So
Italy,
well,
I've been
because
to-
she sold my old car.
She sold it, the one that she was trying to buy herself. Hold on one second. Welcome to Connecticut at your service. Do you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering if you guys are on social media. You guys have a lot of really good information about cars. So thank you.
See, we got so excited. We didn't even go into that.
Say-
Thank you, caller. Give us your website, if you have social media.
Our biggest thing right now is Instagram, RPM Auto CT. We're also on YouTube, TikTok, and we have our website. But if you have Instagram, RPM Auto CT, the link tree will be there, and in our link tree shows every social media that we're on.
Thank you, caller. Did you have another question?
That was all. Thank you.
All right, thank you for reminding me because I was on a roll, right? Bye. So I think that's great. So you were talking about your events that you were doing, right? So
Yeah.
you had gotten a
Yeah.
new car.
So
you
we
want to
made
show
it-
everybody your new car and do
No,
your oil change.
we made it because I've always been known for the car that I drive because I'm always messing with it or doing something to it. So we made it, anytime I work on my car, we make it an event at the shop where if we order a part, it's kind of like an open house. We have cones. You're only allowed to like step but so far in, but you
Okay.
can watch me work on my car, ideally. and
Are
if we
those
have-
videos like on your website or
Yes.
some of those?
Yep.
I think we have a clip that we're going to show about your business at the end.
Yes.
But I think that that's really great because some people don't know, how cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
Just because if you're going to a different mechanic, it's good to have some level
Yeah.
of to know what you're talking about, especially for women so that we don't feel taken advantage of. I
Well-
think that that's really great.
Well, we also have on our YouTube, on our Instagram, on our TikTok, we have informational YouTube videos. On our Instagram, we have informational videos, every social media situation that we have informationals so that you can go into our history and be able to do that so that we can go ahead and be informative. And as far as education is concerned, we are even so far as participating in the Bullard Havens open house this coming Thursday.
That's
So-
awesome.
Yeah.
Going back, and are you going to bring
Well,
your fancy
actually-
car to the parking lot or whatever?
It's not the first time I always go back, even when I was at Maserati to Bullard Havens. We're also we're in the works of doing work-based learning with them too. So that's where
That means that somebody will be able
student,
to
yeah.
internship with you.
Yeah.
I think that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
because it's
Absolutely.
it's just giving back, because that's the program that I used when I was there. I was interning at the Dario and when I was a junior.
Is the teacher still there?
Yep.
She is?
Yeah.
She's got to be so proud. Give her some love. Really quickly, give her some love.
Shout out to Miss Amia. If it wasn't for you, I don't know where I would be in the automotive world. Your connections are what got me here.
I love that, and you're paying it forward.
Yeah.
So tell really quickly, because we have literally a minute. Tell me what's next for RPM.
We're looking at bringing in the apprenticeship program, and the hope is to offer that program to a Bridgeport student from the Bullard Havens Tech program.
That's awesome.
And that's literally what we're looking to do.
As the business, what's next for you? Because you've been to Italy, you've been to working for these fancy companies and doing celebrity cars.
My ideal thing is to be able to just be a figure on a social media figure on either YouTube as just building cars and giving tips and tricks.
Like an influencer.
Yeah.
Now you can have Maserati give you cars so that you can drive them. Because
mean-
that's what an influencer is. We had somebody on our show a few weeks ago, and she said that anybody that has 17, over 1,000 followers is a micro influencer. So if you have that many on your social media, then you're already an influencer. It's about what do you do
Yeah,
from there.
it's crazy though on social media, because we get calls from people. I saw your YouTube video from California, Texas, Ohio, and I'll get on the phone with them and tell them how to work on their car, tell
You're
shops how to
amazing.
work on their
Tell
cars.
us one more time how to reach you, because we're wrapping up.
How to reach us?
How to reach you.
So Instagram, RPM Auto CT, or our website, RPM Auto CT, but you have to type in Bethany because it'll bring up,
Other ones that ain't you.
yeah.
Exactly.
Raphael, thank you, Madeline. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I just think that you're amazing. And for everybody that's tuning in, we'll see you next time right here on Soundview TV, Connecticut at your service.